Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar today. As the world saw a paradigm shift in the way we work across the globe, the pandemic is deconstructing all that was familiar, breaking apart commonplace, nullifying everything that was ever considered normal. As we started working from home, we've come across multiple hurdles. We twist, we turn, we pull away those headphones, suspend them mid-air to let the jam-cramped ears breathe a bit. Dandasana, Vajrasana, Ardha Padmasana, Baddha Konasana, and even the odd Gomukhasana, every contortion has been tried and tested in that 2 by 5 feet of leg space. For some odd reason, we seamlessly seem to have slipped into a 12 hours a day work schedules. Why, when, and how did this come by? To answer all our work from home woes, we are delighted to have with us Dr. Amol Sangekar, an industrial and office human factors and ergonomics consultant and assessor. Dr. Amol is the founder of India Ergo and the chief consultant for India Ergo and chief consultant for Orient MCT in UAE. And he's also been an industrial and ergonomics consultant since 2007. He has done projects in corporate offices, oil and gas, power sector, manufacturing, automobile, etc. in India, Bhutan, and GCC countries. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Amol. We will now begin the session.
Thanks a lot, Sanjana, for the nice introduction. Welcome everyone to today's webinar on challenges of working from home. Today we are going to talk about few of the challenges that we are facing. So we'll be talking about the challenges in work from home setup, the ergonomics of office work, and what are the pitfalls and how we can manage office work more efficiently without having injuries. We'll also be looking at setting up the ideal work area using a laptop versus when we use a desktop, using extended monitors in case few of us who use maybe a laptop along with a desktop monitor or maybe two monitors at the same time. We'll be looking at that and how to best arrange it ergonomically to prevent injuries. We later on look at the chair and the importance of the ergonomic chair, look at monitor setup, the importance of lighting, temperature, and other environmental factors, do's and don'ts in working from home. We will wrap up the session with a small talk about when and how to take breaks and what stretches one can do to prevent any injuries. We also look at the ideal location to work in the home and the noise and working. And lastly, and one of the most important ergonomic issues that have come up recently is standing and working, and how safe is it and how often can you do that. And post that, we'll end the session with a Q&A. So moving on, we'll look at the work from home setups, the challenges. So when I spoke to Clayworks about organizing this webinar, we were talking about what are the issues that people are facing. And we have a small study here, and these are the main issues that people face while doing the work from home and setting up your office in your residence. So the most important one that you see here is the work-life balance, also lack of workspace at home, and tendency to overwork, again, that is intertwined with the work-life balance, which is crumbling everywhere. And isolation. A lot of people are also having issues with being alone in the house and not being able to interact with their colleagues. in person, and the interaction is just limited, unfortunately, to online. So these are some of the challenges that people are facing. Also, we've looked at what other challenges that they're facing in terms of the infrastructure. So this chart shows you that the most important thing, and which we are going to cover in detail today, is about the ergonomic chair. A lot of people are working from whatever chairs are available. I'm sure as the lockdown got extended and people realized the issues with their regular home chairs, few of you must have ordered online office chairs. But although that happened at a later stage, people are still in some places using whatever they have, and we look at how to best arrange your home chair and make it ergonomic to the best possible in the best possible manner. So there are a few other factors that people reported during the survey. 55% talked about lack of proper space. 1 out of every 2 person work out of a bedroom or a living room. 55% often overwork and forget to take breaks. 48% felt isolated and lonely without physical interaction with their peers or colleagues. 45% constantly needed technical support, and also there has been a lot of issues with connectivity in a lot of houses, because almost everyone in the house is glued to the screen. 40% are struggling with background noise. Again, working out of home, that is a major challenge. 52% grappling with crumbling work-life balance. People have started working early and they continue working late in the evening, leaving them very little time to actually interact with their family members around them, or maybe even engage in any sort of physical exercise, or maybe a walk, or anything on those lines. 42% said they do not have an ergonomic chair. This was also very interesting to find out that 50% want to stick with working from home for over 3 days a week. So having looked at the survey statistics, now let's look at what we are offering today in terms of ergonomics of office work. So to better understand rather the ergonomics of office work, we need to understand about the human body. So the human body is largely not built for repetitive work, and that is exactly where the challenge comes in. One is not built for repetitive work, and it's not built to stay in a stationary position for too long a time. And when we are working from home or even working from office, these are the two things that we do. Is there is a lot of repetitive work, and there is also a lot of sitting involved, which is stationary form in which your body is placed. So what happens is this leads to a lot of issues, and the blanket name for this is called work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Uh, so that is where the need for ergonomics arise, because we need to prevent our the work-related musculoskeletal disorders, and with proper ergonomics, we can prevent or at least reduce the incident of work-related musculoskeletal disorders. So the work-related WMSDs, as they are called in short, can occur at various areas in your body. The most significant areas is the spine. It could be the upper spine or the lower spine, and could manifest in terms of neck pain or back pain. The second most important area is the shoulder, which is affected because we are continuously typing and our shoulders are slightly raised during that activity. There are various names for WMSDs, and you might have come across the terminology RSI, that is repetitive stress injury. They are also called as cumulative trauma disorders or computer related injuries. But finally, with correct ergonomics, we can prevent these issues happening to the neck area or the shoulder, etc. So what are the target areas? Like I just spoke about, mainly the neck and the shoulder and the lower back. So there is a long and there's a short definition of ergonomics. I prefer the short definition. The long definition is already there on your screen. This is the short definition which I prefer. It correctly points out to what is wrong in the workplace. And if the job is not correctly fitted to the worker, one is basically, it's a recipe for WMSDs to happen. So fitting the job to the worker is the definition of ergonomics that I like. So in an office scenario, the job can be fitted to the worker by ergonomically arranging the monitor, the keyboard, the chair, the mouse, the laptop, and the light levels and other environmental levels like the sound, the humidity factor, and the temperature. So how do you set up an ideal workstation? For workplace at home, most of the people currently who are working from home are working out of their bedrooms. The second most used area is the living space, and then of course people are working from the dining table, or they are just moving around the house and changing their position. Some are even sitting down on the floor and working with laptops on around their legs. So they are working in various different positions, and this can really be detrimental in the long run and might give rise to work-related musculoskeletal disorders. So let's look at how we position the monitor first. So the monitor ideally should be at an arm's distance. So when you are sitting in a chair and without moving ahead in the chair, with your back correctly positioned against the backrest of the chair, if you just hold out your hand, the screen should touch the tip of your middle finger. So that is the ideal length. I usually don't believe in giving you numbers like 24 or 22 centimeters, because this is a very subjective issue when it comes to ergonomics. And so the length of your arm is the distance that the monitor should be at. So of course, some people would prefer it slightly closer, some would prefer it to be slightly away, but that is the benchmark of the distance between your eyes and your monitor. So when you are viewing at your monitor, when we are asked to look straight ahead, our eyesight generally falls about 20 degrees below. So that is how your monitor should be placed. It should be placed slightly at an angle wherein you could see the top of the screen at your eye level. Always make sure that when you are placing your monitor, there is no glare. A good way to check for glare is to switch off the monitor and see if there is any shining object that you can see in the dark screen. So if there's maybe a light behind, or there could be, you're sitting against the window and the screen is reflecting the light from the outside. So in these cases, you need to make sure that the glare is eliminated, because that is going to cause a lot of discomfort in your eyes when you are going to work in that position for long periods of time. Lastly, you should always make sure that the neck and the back is straight when we have the monitor in front of us, and it should not be placed at an angle wherein you are required to either twist your back or the neck to view the screen. So right now we are talking about a computer chair or an office chair. We would come to the part where we'll talk about how to correctly adjust the whatever available chair you have in your house. So when we are adjusting the office chair, these days a lot of offices have adjustable desks. So if you have an adjustable desk, then that's an entirely different ball game. But if you don't have an adjustable desk, and since we are talking about work from home where most of the dining tables or whatever surface you're using is not adjustable, if you just have an office chair, we need to adjust the office chair so that the arms are correctly supporting the forearms. The armrest of the chair is correctly supporting the forearms, and you need to make sure that the desk line is in line with your forearms when you're sitting up. So if your armrests are height adjustable, place them so your elbows can rest comfortably on the armrest and your shoulders are level and relaxed. And adjust your chair height so you can type with the ideal wrist and arm position. So the ideal wrist and arm position is when you place your arms against your body, against your chest by the side. The arms and the forearms should be at a 90-degree angle. It could be a little more than 90, but ideally it should not be less than 90 degrees. So that's how you should be positioning your arms and your forearms, and forearms need to be resting correctly on the armrests of the chair. So after you adjust your chair, if your feet are now off the floor, that is when, and that is only when, one should be using a footrest. A lot of people go out of their way and buy a footrest along with the chair, and that is not, I mean, I would not suggest that as the right way, because if you can adjust your chair correctly and it's correctly positioned, you really don't need a footrest. It's only when you correctly position your chair so that the armrests are in line with the desk height. And now if your feet are off the floor, that is only when you use the footrest. So adjusting the keyboard surface up or down so that your wrists are straight when your fingers are on the middle row of the keys. If your keyboard surface doesn't adjust this way, raise or lower your chair until you can hold your wrist straight while touching the middle row of the keys. Work surface should be just below your elbows and your forearms should be parallel to the floor with your elbows at your side. So that is the correct position for typing. So you can see what we just talked about in the previous slide. This is the right way on the left hand side and the wrong way. Although a lot of people would argue that they do use the right side picture and they do type in that fashion when they are using the laptop or the desktop. And the best thing for this, when we do this workshop in an office, we talk about a buddy system, is your immediate colleague would correct you whenever you are in this position. But if you are working out of your houses and you're alone, you need to make sure that you don't get into this position too often, and keep a track of your position of the wrist and your fingers. Okay. For the mouse, keep your mouse at the same height and as close to your keyboard as is practical. Don't reach further than necessary to use the mouse, and make sure you have enough space to move the mouse freely. Keep your wrist straight while using the mouse. Use a full arm motion from the shoulder when guiding the mouse. This also holds true for using the keyboard. A lot of people try to move their wrist like you saw in the previous slide on the keyboard where it said wrong. So if you're moving your fingers from the wrist trying to reach for different keys, then that is going to cause problems. It's the same with the mouse. Try not to use your wrist to move the mouse. Instead, move it from your elbow, or you can use your shoulder. The reason being, the shoulder and the elbow is a bigger joint. It has stronger muscles compared to the wrist, and when you do the movements from these bigger joints, the chances of injury are far less than compared to the movements from wrist joint. So that is the reason we usually advise full arm motion against the movement at the wrist joint. This is another very important point, is relax your hand over the mouse and don't hold it too tightly. A lot of people, even when they are not really typing or using the mouse, their hand is still up there on the keyboard, or they're still grabbing onto the mouse. Maybe they are attending to a phone call or talking to someone in the house, or in an office scenario to a colleague, but still they are holding on to the mouse, or their hands are up on the keyboard. So whenever you are not using the machine, just make sure you release that grip over your mouse, or bring your hands down from the keyboard. So that is another depiction of what is the right and wrong way to use the mouse. So you see in the left hand side picture, there's an angle at the wrist. So always make sure that your forearm, wrist, and the fingers are in a straight line while using the mouse. So this will happen when your armrest of the chair is correctly positioned against the edge of the desk. Now, a lot of people, I'm sure almost 99% of people who are working from home are using a laptop. We look at the correct way of using a laptop. So whenever we are using a laptop for more than 20 minutes, it's best to use the laptop as a screen. So what do I mean by it is to, like you see in the picture, the laptop is propped up. Ideally, in this position, you would not be using the keyboard on the laptop, because that will keep your forearms, elbow, and wrist at an angle which we don't require. So that is the reason we have an external keyboard and an external mouse. So this is sort of a desktop, but you are still using the laptop. So you arrange your laptop like a desktop. So use it only as a screen, and use an external keyboard and an external mouse. So you see a very fancy laptop riser in this picture over here. You needn't really get into that. In case you cannot get your hands on a laptop riser, maybe old newspapers, you can just stack them up and place your laptop on it. Or you can alternatively even use books. Just make sure that after maybe every 1 or 2 hours, you are making sure that the laptop doesn't heat up too much if you're using newspapers or books, because the heat doesn't dissipate as easily as it would on a laptop riser. So you see how the keyboard is placed in this picture, and that is the ideal location of the keyboard if you're using it in this fashion. So this is how most of us use the laptop, and in this picture you can see that the back is not correctly supported against the backrest of the chair. Also, the person is leaning ahead. His forearms are pressed against the hard edges of the desk, and his neck is also bent. So the next picture shows you a very budget and easy solution to correct the position and make it more ergonomic. So you see the use of books underneath the laptop, and he's pulled out a keyboard tray wherein is placed the keyboard and the mouse. So now essentially the laptop has become a monitor, and you can access it by an external keyboard and mouse, and immediately the back is supported against the backrest of the chair. His arms are also at 90-degree angle, and neck is also straight while viewing. Although this picture leaves a little to be desired, the laptop could be raised a little higher. It's slightly at a lower angle. So again, to summarize a laptop use, use the laptop as a monitor and CPU, use separate keyboard and mouse, use a keyboard tray if it's required, or you can just use an external keyboard and mouse if your table is not very high. Adjust monitor height or use a docking station. So now let's look at the scenario wherein one uses multiple monitors. So if you're using anything of this sort, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4 monitors as you see in the picture. So you have 3 monitors on the top and a laptop in the bottom. So when you're using multiple screens, if one monitor is used frequently than the other, place the primary monitor straight ahead to avoid twisting the body or neck to one side to view the display. Move the chair when using secondary monitors to avoid bending or twisting to see the display. So if you have 2 or 3 monitors, you can change your position so that you are aligned in a straight line with the secondary monitor that you're using during that activity. And then when you're using your primary monitor, you come back, align your chair in a straight line with the primary monitor. So when you're using multiple monitors with equal frequency, you place them in a V fashion. So that way you don't have to move around a lot, and you can view both the monitors equally without a lot of twisting or bending at your neck. So arrange the monitors in an arc position, the screens at equal viewing distance from the user, and position the screens right next to each other. So that way there's not much of twisting, bending at the neck. So in this picture, you see a solution from the same thing when you're using 2 monitors with equal frequency. Here on the left hand side, you see that the monitor on the right is higher and the monitor on the left is shorter. So in the next picture, what we've done to demonstrate is to have both the monitors of equal size, and we have placed them slightly at an angle so that there is not much problems at the neck or the trunk. So a lot of people also use combination screens. By combination is basically a desktop monitor and a laptop computer. So if you're using something of that sort, you could place the laptop on a docking station or a stand so that the laptop display is at the same height as the desktop monitor. So ideally, what you saw in the previous picture, that is the arrangement that we desire when you're using a laptop and a desktop together. So that's the reason we need a docking station or a stand so that the laptop display is at the same height as the desktop monitor, and place the laptop and desktop monitors at an equal viewing distance. Again, you can use the V solution for arranging of the laptop and desktop. Some people use vertical stacking. So position the most frequently used display slightly below the eye level. So that has to be in front, and the monitors that you don't refer to more frequently can be placed above or below the primary monitor. So this is the laptop and a desktop combination. And you see in the picture on the left that the laptop screen is slightly lower than the monitor. And in the picture on the right, we've raised it up. and made sure that it is almost in line with the monitor. You also see a very budget solution applied here on the monitor, wherein they've used those blue books to raise the height of the monitor. So we saw in the initial slides that a lot of people have been working from home, and in their house they are using either the bedroom a lot, or they're using their living rooms, and some are using the dining tables. So what is the ideal location for work from home? So your workstation, make sure to choose a logical space if you do not have a separate office. Some people have a separate room, and that is excellent. But if you don't have that, make sure that the space has enough light, it is ventilated correctly, and is not too noisy. You can use your kitchen table, dining table, etc. if you do not have a desk, but ensure that the surface is stable and allows you to get your legs fully underneath. So always make sure that when you are using a desk, there is enough leg space for you to stretch out your legs, and there's no obstacles placed underneath, like maybe a CPU, or sometimes there's some files or maybe a filing cabinet. So make sure nothing of that sort is present and you have enough leg space underneath. So now we are looking at a chair setup. So this is your ordinary chair that a lot of people have in their houses. So you see two very interesting setups here. One is a stool with a small red cushion on it and a very small table with the wall as a backrest. And in the other one, you see the person has stacked two chairs, probably to raise his or her height to wherein they are more comfortably placed when using the laptop in the lower picture. So what should be your correct chair height? You can adjust any chair you have, but make sure your knees are lower than your hips. So this is the most important thing, that your knees should be lower than your hips. Your chair height should position you so that the fingers float above the keyboard with your arms parallel to the floor. So your fingers should be ideally above the A to L row of the keyboard. If you are too low, put some cushions underneath you to raise your height. So just bear this in mind, that we usually don't encourage use of cushions or lumbar supports, the external lumbar support, etc. when using the office chair. But in times such as these, when people are trying to use whatever they have, we would approve of cushions to support yourself better. So always keep in mind that this is only when using a regular chair that you're using cushions. Now again, if your feet come off the ground, find something to rest your feet. What is the correct chair distance? Move your chair to the distance where your fingers are floating above the A to L row of the keyboard. If you're sitting on a chair that isn't as comfortable for you as the office chair, make sure to get up and move around more frequently, at least every 20 minutes. Use cushions to elevate yourself, get up and move regularly, and do not use a chair that slopes backwards, like maybe an easy chair or an armchair. The next most important thing that one faces while working from home is, like you saw from the survey slides, that noise was a very important factor. Also, a lot of people might face issues with ventilation or lighting. So here's a quick slide which gives you the basic illumination levels or the temperature levels that you should be working at. I understand that when one is working from home, it might not be easy to achieve these levels as easily as they are achieved in an office scenario. But this is just a guideline. So even if you can come close to these levels, that will be a great achievement. So the four more important factors is the lighting, the temperature, the humidity, and the sound levels. Now, when we talk about temperature in an office scenario, it should be between 22 to 26 degrees. So if you can have it anywhere close to that, that's okay. For humidity, it should be between 40 to 55 degrees. Again, if you can control humidity only if you have the air conditioning on. For people who live in the coastal areas of India, humidity is going to be a lot of issue, and only if you have access to air conditioning can you control humidity. But if not, just make sure you're drinking a lot of water, you're taking enough breaks during the day. For sound levels, they have to be less than 85 decibels for an 8-hour shift, and largely they are lower than that. In your typical Indian residence, the sound levels are not very high. And your light level should be between 300 to 500 lux. Now, one may ask me this question as to how do you measure these levels? So your phone, you could just download the apps. There are apps for, there's a combination app which gives you reading for lighting, light levels, for temperature and humidity. And then there are apps for sound levels, you can download that. But sound largely one doesn't require, because in a residential setup, the decibel levels rarely go continuously above 85 decibels for a period of 8 hours. So that's not an issue. Light also, another way to manage your lighting is to have spot lighting. So wherever you are working, you can have a small table lamp around that area in case you feel that the light is not sufficient enough. And temperature and humidity, if you turn on the air conditioning, both are automatically controlled. If not, then just make sure you are in an airy area and drink a lot of water and take more breaks. Another important factor that we hear of and we see in most offices these days, we are getting into the sit to stand working culture, where people have adjustable desk where then they can use it for sitting, as well as they can adjust it to a higher level and stand and work for some time. But we need to understand, when we are standing and working, what are the pitfalls of standing and working, how long can you stand and work, and how do you what are the benefits of standing and working. So let's look at the benefits first. There are a lot of studies that support use of standing desk for your overall health. They claim to reduce back pain, lower your risk of heart disease, lower your risk of weight gain and obesity, lower blood sugar levels and risk of type 2 diabetes, and of course it also boosts your productivity. Now, how come standing suddenly is the new gold standard in office work? So it's really not. The whole idea is about changing your position. So you've been sitting for a long time and now you're standing and working. So that change in position is actually giving you all these benefits. So just bear in mind, if you don't have a standing desk, if you just get up every 20 minutes and take a short break for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, you are still going to gain all these benefits that a standing desk gives you. So how long should you stand? Ideally about 15 to 30 minutes. So 15 minutes, 30 minutes is very good. If you can stand for an hour, excellent. But always bear in mind that if you are used to working in a sitting position and then you suddenly start standing and working for 2 hours, it could cause problems. So go easy on that. So maybe you can start standing for about 15 minutes every hour, and then slowly build it up from there. So that those are the basic side effects of standing. So if you suddenly go from sitting all day to standing all day, you run the risk of developing back, leg, or foot pain because your lower body is not used to that kind of strain. So start off slow, and then you can easily build it to a level where you are standing for more time during the day. So we looked at people working from different areas in their house, and we also looked at some people who are working in the kitchen, some are working from the bedroom. A lot of people who don't have access to a desk or maybe even a table in their house are using the floor. So here are a few do's and don'ts. So you're working in various positions in various areas. So how do you best achieve an ergonomic posture while working? So make sure you're not using a beanbag. You might want to use it for maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes and take a break from your desk, but make sure you're not using it throughout the day. Again, a lot of people have been using their living room furniture or sofas to work. So make sure you're avoiding slouching, lying down, hunching while at work. If you're sitting on the floor, make sure you're sitting with your back supported against the wall. If you are sitting on the sofa, make sure you pull up a small table or something to place your laptop on. So that will give you a more upright position and will not cause problems with blood circulation in your lower back and feet. So if you have access to a high table, you can use that and you can put up your laptop there and work in a standing position. Again, if you're sitting in a bed, make sure your lower back is supported. If you have a small breakfast table, you can use that to put your laptop on and you can work in that position. That will be a lot more safer than the one that you see in the left hand side of the picture. And finally, remember to take breaks. Remember to stretch your body every 30 minutes. Towards the end of this webinar, I'm sharing a few stretches that those are very simple and everyone can do them. The idea is every 20 minutes when you take a break, just get up, move around, maybe go for a glass of water. A lot of people are in the habit of filling up a large bottle of water and keeping it at their desk. uh, Although it's a good idea probably when you're in the office, although I don't support it too much because even in the office it's a great idea to get up from your seat and move to the area where they have the water cooler and have a glass of water, because that gives you a change of position and gives you a small walk. Follow it in your house, get up from your position, walk up to the kitchen, have a glass of water or tea or whatever, and then come back. So every 20 minutes, you either use the washroom, you go for a water break, or what you could do is also whatever phone calls you have lined up, make sure you take them in standing or walking around in the house. So that way you're not seated continuously even when on the phone. And in between that, you can do all these stretches that we are going to share with you. And these stretches would also help in improving the blood circulation and basically relaxing the muscles. So the most important thing is change your work posture regularly. So these are few stretches that are coming up on your screen right now. So this is the next stretch. Again, these stretches basically take about 10 to 20 seconds. So you can do it for 10 counts or 20 counts as you wish. And once you're done with the stretches, you can sit back down and continue your work. So although there are a few stretches which you can do in seated position, I will strongly recommend that you stand up and do these stretches for the simple reason that it gives you a change in posture. So also I'd like to mention that a lot of people are facing issues, and there are different products that have come up in the market which help you, fight a lot of these issues, wherein posture as also correct seating. Clayworks Spot has come up with one of their products wherein you can isolate yourself, and it is correctly lit. It has the right positions. You have an option of using a chair that you want, a better office chair, and it's also adjustable and it can accommodate two screens at the same time. So that works better, and also you are isolated from the background noise. So it's a one of the great products that I have seen in recent times, for especially for people who are working out of their homes. So I would be glad to take any questions if there are any at this time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amol, for this great presentation. It was very insightful. I think we have one question here. It says, uh, if you are using a phone, what could be the, the posture that they can sit in case they do not have access to a laptop or a monitor? How can they, adjust their posture for a phone?
Yeah. Sanjana, can I get you to turn on my video? I can't turn it on.
Okay, just 1 second.
Yeah. So hello everyone. Very important question, and in fact, uh, there's an entirely different webinar on handheld devices. Uh, Sonia, when you're using a phone, it's best to, again, uh, the risk of repeating. It's the same as when you use a laptop. So make sure you're using the phone as a screen. And if you're just viewing, or you viewing a movie or something of that sort, just make sure you place it in front of you with the small phone stands that are available. The same goes for tablet. If you're using it, keep it in front of you, again a little further away, maybe an arm's distance if you're using a tablet. if you're using a phone, a little closer. But the idea is to make sure that your neck is not bent while viewing it. If it is bent while viewing it, make sure it's not the bending of the neck is restricted to a minimum. So instead of viewing it all the way down, make sure it's kept a little further up. So there is not extensive bending at the neck. So, but largely I would advise you to not use the phone continuously for work. It's best to use a larger machine so you could correctly position yourself in front of a laptop or a desktop. So use a phone only in rare events when you don't have immediate access and there's something urgent or pressing that you need to do. Okay. Hope that answers your question, Sonia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amol. So the next question is there a feet cushion or a soft foot mat you would recommend for people standing and working for extended hours?
Yes. So there's something called as an anti-fatigue mat. If you type it, I'm sure, I haven't checked, but I'm sure if you type it in Google, you'll get a lot of it. We usually advise this for workers in an industrial setup, manufacturing plants or packaging plants, or wherever the worker is required to stand for long durations. They use the anti-fatigue mats. What they basically do is they cushion your feet, one. Second, because of their softness, they also distribute the overall weight that is exerted on your lower back, and in this way they give a lot of relief to a person who's standing and working. But having said that, you must remember when I spoke about standing and working, standing and working is not the new gold standard. Just always remember that changing your posture is more important. So you could be standing for 1 hour and then sitting for the next hour and then standing again for 1 hour, and that combination would work best rather than standing for 7 hours and then just sitting for 1 hour. Okay, because prolonged standing is again going to cause problems similar to prolonged sitting. So change of posture is more important than anything else. I have another question from Austin. Asking me, most of us keep looking at the screens for almost the entire day. Are there any exercises we can do for our eyes as well? Yeah, Austin, just rubbing your hands together and placing it on your eyes and breathing through your nose for about 10 seconds. That is a very good exercise for your eyes. Second exercise for your eyes when you're viewing the screen is, because the screen is just at an arm's distance, intermittently, like every 15 or 20 minutes, what you can do is you can look at the farthest point in your house, or if you have a window, through your window, the farthest point you can look at. So what this basically does, it involves a different group of your eye muscles, and the muscles that are focusing for shorter distance are given a break, and the muscles that focus on long distance take over. So that way your eyes get some relaxation. So that's again change of posture, but on a very minuscule level in the eye muscle area. So that also works very well.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Amol. Also about the noise and the distraction at in-home environments. What do you think about when there are other people in the same room as you who might be taking calls, or kids who might be taking other their school curriculum and all of that? Do you think noise is a very important thing that is causing the stress that we are seeing in people right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, 85 decibels and above for 8 hours. Of course, that doesn't happen in our residential setup, but it is, when people are talking around you, even if the decibel levels are low, it is very difficult to concentrate. And that's become an increasing area of concern in most households these days, because both the parents are probably working and the kids are on their school curriculum and on their laptops. So everyone is talking and interacting. So that's where I think a product like Spotch comes in, where you can isolate yourself, and that is a amazing product, I think, for this kind of scenario exactly. So yeah.
Uh, we have one more question that says, what can we use to adjust the height while working for appropriate distance?
No, I didn't get the question.
So how can we adjust height? Like I think you had mentioned something about books and all of that, right? So
Yeah. So
what would be the best way to adjust this height?
so in case you don't have an height adjustable chair, I'm assuming the person is talking about adjusting the height for the monitor, right? So for the monitor, yeah, you could use a laptop riser for laptops. For monitors, you can again use books or newspapers, or even you can do the same for laptops and raise the height of the monitor in that fashion. But just make sure that if you're using these budget solutions to make understand that the laptop would heat up, it's not the case for monitors, but the laptop would heat up, and you need to make sure to cool it off intermittently if you're using newspapers or books. But if you're using a regular laptop riser, this would not be an issue, and it'll help you raise the level up.
Got it. Got it. Thank you,
So
Dr.
Sonia has another question. She's asking me, if you say about when you are sitting near sunlight is pass. I didn't follow your question, Sonia. Can you just rephrase it, please?
By then we'll take one more question. So we have somebody asking us, at office we have noise like AC, fan, and some general chatter that is going on because your other colleagues are around. Should we use white noise generators to simulate such an environment at home? So a lot of people who live alone, like we saw one of our survey, responses also said that they were feeling very lonely, and the office environment is something that they miss. So do you think white noise generators can help simulate such an environment at home and can keep this loneliness, or the way your mind works while there is some noise can work?
Yeah, Sanjana. So I mean, very honestly, I think this is something similar to, you have those sleeping apps which give you the noise of the ocean or the noise of the mountains or the rain or something of that sort. And they are best known not to really work and help people sleep better. Okay, so having said that, I don't have much information on these kind of apps or wherever they're generating these office chatter kind of thing. But the best thing I would say is people are facing a lot of issues. These are more of psychological mental issues where they feel isolated, they're unable to interact with their colleagues, and the best thing to counter this is to engage in physical activity. Everyone must be aware that physical activity, however of short duration, maybe 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, will give rise to feel good hormones in the body. It takes away from the feeling of isolation or inability to interact with colleagues. So, or maybe just go for a small walk, of course with your precautions in place. Walk, or maybe if you cycle, do that, or just go out side your home or maybe on the rooftop terrace and engage in some yoga activities, and these would help you better deal with these kind of emotions rather than these apps. But I'm not sure how well these apps really work, so
Right.
I'm a little skeptical about that. But
Um,
if you want to go ahead and try it, I don't see any harm in it.
sure.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it is just an app that is giving you the chatter. It's not the real thing.
Right. Also, Akshita is asking, how important is it to wear formals while working from home, or like work attire while working from home? Do you think it helps in increasing productivity?
Yeah, again, this question is outside my expertise area, But yes, from what I've interacted with other medical professionals and everyone, it does definitely pep you up in the morning, because a lot of people are working in their home attire, and this is something that goes on in your brain when you get ready for your work. And so these are, different stages in your in your day. So when you go through these paces and get ready for work, and maybe men usually, if they are not going to be on the camera, they are not shaving, people are just dressed in their home, I would strongly recommend that you dress for work and like you are going out for work, and then start your work, because that psychologically it helps you get in the mindset, and also uh, gives your body something to work upon, and mentally also you get ready for your work day. So yeah, that's a very good idea, and it's known to help a lot of people.
Right. Also, Dr. Amol, we have one more anonymous person asking us. So, while taking calls, or how long can we wear headphones or earphones? Is it advisable to wear headphones or earphones for a longer time?
Yeah, again, it's not really advisable if you're wearing earplugs which really go into the air canal. I would strongly advise against that for long durations. But for the ones that go over the head, which allow some amount of air circulation, maybe for 30 minutes, I would say there's not much research into it, but 30 minutes and then off for another 5 or 10, and then again on is the best way to go about it.
All right,
Then
got it.
again, I think if you have a product like Spotch, you can work without the headphones, because if you are in an enclosed space,
Right.
you don't really are not disturbing anyone.
Yes. Okay. Also, Dr. Amol, Sonia is asking us that what is your thought about sitting in sunlight while either attending classes or while working? Can we sit in sunlight for longer periods of time? I think that's the question that we have.
Yes and no. So traditionally, we've been told that you need to get out in the sun in the morning. The morning sun is good. Absolutely, it is fantastic, but it does not have all the gamma rays that your afternoon sunlight would have. So newer research suggests that something between 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. when you're based in India, okay,
Right.
uh, it gives you the entire spectrum of the sunlight, all the alpha, all the gamma rays are there. But this sunlight can be enjoyed only for about 10 to 15 minutes because it's very harsh.
Okay.
So I would advise that if you have early morning sun coming into your balcony areas or in your living rooms, bedrooms, you can sit there and work for a while. But just try to get out between 11 and 2, and get about 15 to 10 to 15 minutes of that sun too. So but don't sit in that sun for too long. If it's the early morning sun between 8 to 10:30, even if you're sitting for about half an hour, 45 minutes, it's a great idea.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Amol. Also, Shamil is asking us what is the best color or temperature for lights?
Best color, this is entirely beyond my area of
All right.
expertise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, because you had mentioned the lux levels. So,
Yeah.
is there anything that ideally the ideal color, like let's say
Yeah,
warm white
so
or
this is
light
basically the white or the yellow light that we use in our houses or even in the offices. A lot of offices these days have also gone to a different light color, which is something between the yellow and the absolute white that we have. It's kind of a
white?
mixture of that.
Okay.
But whatever the color of the light, you need to understand that 300 to 500 lux is the ideal lux level for office work along with paperwork, because paperwork requires a different lux level and computer work requires a different. So this is a broad range wherein you can carry out both your activities.
Right. a few other anonymous attendees also asking us, having ceiling fans or AC can make us feel sleepy or lazy. Is there any other alternative ways to increase air circulation?
Yeah, if you have access to natural air, you could open the windows and enjoy that. But I am a little skeptical again here because being in a country like India and right now we are nearing October. So if you're
Right.
going to open your windows, it's going to be hot, and again, especially around the coastal areas, it's going to be humid. So it's best that if you want to enjoy the outside air, it's best to go out for a short walk and then come back in and you know work in the internal environment with your fan or the air conditioning on. And again, taking breaks every 20 minutes would also help in getting rid of that feeling of laziness or
Mhm.
sleepiness.
Yes, yes. Right. Dr. Amol, also, Sumant is asking us, do you think green plants on your desk or around you while you're working, do you feel like they could boost productivity or they could boost the way you work?
Yeah, they are known to create a feeling of well-being that has been proven by research. So, a lot of places where we conduct our ergonomic assessments and our workshops, we recommend this as a solution for overall well-being and feel-good factor if the company policies allow that. Yeah, so yeah, it's a good idea. And in your house, absolutely yes.
Yes, thank you. One more question from an anonymous attendee is, due to prolonged working on system can leading to eye retina issue, and it could also disturb sleep patterns. There are these spectacles that filter blue lights from the screen and can prevent eye from getting damaged. Is this true? Do you know anything about? Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
yes.
So this is a very good solution that has come up. In fact, I'm wearing the same prescription glasses with the blue block. So it's less harmful. Now, just mark my words when I said less harmful. There is still harmful in there, but it is less harmful. So you need to take those breaks every 20 minutes and get away from the screen. And because unfortunately what has happened is now we are after work again we are back on the screen for entertainment because people are unable to go out, and so you people are spending almost about 16 hours, I think, and not 16 but at least a good 12 to 13 hours on the screen. So you need to make sure you take more breaks away from the screen even if you have the glasses which has the blue block.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amol. I think that those were very insightful answers. And I think, okay, we have one more question. So if someone is working for long while sitting, should it be good to use cushion to support your back?
Yes, if you are using a regular chair, only then. But if you are using an office chair, the office chair should have that adjustment built in, and
Like a lumbar
that
support
should,
chair.
yeah, that should help it because office chair is usually curved and it's sort of uh, ergonomic ready. I wouldn't say ergonomic because each chair is ergonomic to the user. The user needs to make it ergonomic to himself or herself. It is not ergonomic out of the box. So one needs to remember that. So when you add a cushion to an office chair, you are changing the whole geometry of the chair, and that could actually lead to more problems. So that's the reason we don't advise adding cushions or anything external to an office chair. But yes, for a home chair, whatever best works with you, given the current scenario, you could do that.
Understood. Thank you so much, Dr. Amol. Also, for everybody here, Clayworks has recently launched our newest innovation, which is a fully loaded home office called Spotch. Spotch comes with an ergonomic chair, an ergonomically designed desk. It's a patented product, and it comes with an app, inbuilt app, which like Dr. Amol was talking about, these stretches and all of it that you'll have to do, or a reminder that can tell you that every 30 minutes or 45 minutes you should take a break, or something that even allows you to order your lunch or your chai, all of this. So Spotch is your fully loaded home office. It's your companion that you can work with. So please do log on to spotch.works to know more about this product. And you can also reach us on our email address and phone number to know more about this product. Dr. Amol, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing your knowledge with us. This is for sure going to help us, considering most of us are working from home. Even for people who are working from office, I think the stretches and the concept of taking breaks should definitely help people who are back at office and who are taking the necessary precautions and who are constantly worried about the outbreak and the COVID-19 situation. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending this webinar. We look forward to having you all in our future webinars as well. Thank you. Stay safe and take care.
Thank you, Sanjana.